Realtors are walking this way, and I'm just going to ask if they know how to house homeless veterans. Do you know how to house homeless veterans?
No.
No.
Okay.
I sadly do not.
I do not, but I would love to learn.
I do not.
I do not, but I would like to know how.
The answer to that is no.
No. Do you know how to house homeless veterans?
I do not.
I do not.
Do you know how to house a homeless veteran?
He's a veteran and he would be
Come
homeless
here.
if I did not house.
Okay. We're here at the Capitol, Illinois State Capitol. This is the lobby day for realtors. And I did make an announcement on the bus about my 3-hour course that I wrote to teach realtors how to work effectively with a homeless veteran. Just because the veteran is homeless doesn't mean they don't have resources to use to get housed or to get anything else they need, because they do. But how do you get to those resources to help that homeless veteran get housed? I've got the class, and it'll be out soon. Hello and good morning and welcome. I was just sitting over here praying. I'm like, God, Jesus. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I am a realtor. You see, I'm a realtor, right? And I was at the Capitol that day, and there were thousands of realtors. And I'm like, but we have thousands of homeless veterans that these thousands of realtors can get housed in any city, any state. So I wanted to know if there are other realtor colleagues who knew how to house a homeless veteran. And the only reason I say that is because housing homeless veterans is a process. And I just got an email from my coach showing me a process. And it was like a gut punch because I know how to house homeless veterans. That's a no-brainer. But the process that I have to now learn is it felt when I read it that it was a gut punch, like I said, because it is turning how I present things in a different manner. So I understand what you guys are going through when you come in and engage here on my lives, and I'm talking about housing homeless veterans. It's a gut punch because it's something that you want to do, but there's a process to getting there. And that's where I am with my coach. And I know that's where you are every time you come and watch me. It's a process that we have to engage in order to get to that finish line. I was listening to a TikTok as soon as I turned on TikTok, and I'm like, God, you're always there. And I just want to say thank you. And this gentleman, I know his name. I think it's Brunson. If I'm not, I really don't know, but I'm not even going to say that. I was watching his TikTok, and his TikTok was talking about the learning process and how it could be boring. Well, yeah, boring and tedious, because the boring work is that you gotta sit down and look. You gotta open a book. You gotta open a book and you gotta read it from cover to cover, and you have to take notes, and then you have to go back and reread it, and then you have to start putting some things in place. You may have to get with your coach, I'm sure, because listen, it's a new process. This is all a new process. So housing homeless veterans is not something that you're just going to start doing. If you haven't been doing it, why you think you're going to start doing it all of a sudden just because you see Yvette Jones Swanson, the National Veterans Homeless Housing Advocate, Realtor, Consultant, and professional services in the GovCon space here live talking to you on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on TikTok. All of a sudden, you're going to get it because she said, I can house homeless veterans. Well, yeah, I did, but it's a process. And that process, learning from me, comes in various publications that I wrote. So you want to learn this process of housing homeless veterans, then you got to go buy some books. That's the boring part about the video that I was watching on TikTok today. The learning process. Don't ever think, and it's with everything you learn. You have to go and put the work in. And that's the boring side of it. That's the lengthy side of it. He said in his video, the learning process, that's the boring learning process. We all have to go through it if it's something we really want to do. If you already knew how to house homeless veterans, if you already knew how to make $1 million, if you already knew, wouldn't you be doing that right now? But because you don't know, then you have to find out. I wrote some notes down. I was writing fast when he was saying this, and I sent it to a lot of my TikTok buddies over here too. Hey, y'all, so that they can hear what he said and so that I can go back and not have to try to find the video. So he said that's the boring learning process. If you already knew how to do, he said, make $1 million, you would already be doing it. If you like to know something and you want to know it, what's the missing piece? What's missing is that process. It's that boring process. And that boring process, when you want to learn from me, is to buy a book that I wrote for you to read and learn. Today, we're talking about a realtor's blueprint. A realtor's blueprint was written because, quite naturally, my profession for the past 29 years has been a realtor. I'm a realtor, licensed realtor here in Illinois. Illinois gave me a lot of business working in the homeless veterans community. So working in that homeless veterans community, I was able to house and orchestrate the housing and write housing plans for thousands of people. So by my own house, over 5,000 homeless veterans. And I'm a realtor housing homeless veterans and got a commission paid to the real estate company that I was working with. And then I got my commission check. Over 5,000 homeless veterans have been housed under me and teams that I shared this knowledge with, that I shared a commission with. So this is just the boring process, the boring learning process. I'm just here to tell you. You say, Yvette, we shouldn't have homeless veterans. And I say yes, and we don't have to have homeless veterans, but it takes people like you who say that to get into this boring learning process. And this boring learning process is picking up a good book. If you are a realtor, get the Realtor's Blueprint. Thank you for the love over there, Bonnie. All those hearts flying up on TikTok. If you say that I want to be the housing provider, so get the book, A Guide to Veteran Shared Living Models. It's the process. You say, Yvette, I have family members. I am the bishop, and I just happen to stop by and see you talking. Well, then get this book, Finding Home, because you can take this back to your community and help your community find housing through resources that the veteran can use to pay, and also help this veteran find his or her other resources so that they won't be homeless. They will have an income. Do you know what a service connection disability is? It's the disability that we got while serving in the military. And because of that disability, veterans can apply. And if approved, they can get a check every month. And if they receive 100% service connection disability compensation pay, then they don't have to be homeless. That check is over $3,400 a month. So things like that, you can help them with this book by learning. You say, Yvette, I'm a social worker, case manager, human care professional, first responder. I want to be able to provide more resources to veterans who sit at my desk, in addition to them. Let me see, how should I say this? So if they don't qualify, let's say you're sitting with the social worker at the VA, at homeless walk-in, and the veteran does not qualify for HUD VASH. Typically, that veteran is sent right back on out the door because the social worker doesn't have those additional resources at hand to provide to that veteran. But this book teaches that social worker how to do that. This book right here, again, is one of those learning processes. It's the boring work about learning how to house homeless veterans and other veterans at risk of being homeless, veterans who are being discharged from the hospitals, being released from incarceration. This book teaches you how to help that veteran so that you won't just let them walk on out the door with no resources. We have a ton of resources in our community for veterans, from federal, from the state, from the local, from philanthropy organizations, from I've seen resources in this book, Finding Home. Let me see. My favorite is Hawaii. I dispatch resources to a homeless veteran in Hawaii. I'm sitting at my desk here in Chicago, and she didn't receive the book. I put all the resources and how you get to those resources anywhere, any place, at any time, that quick, wherever you are. Because I teach you how to write the prompts to find those resources for that veteran to be able to utilize. All right. So this AI has revolutionized the way veterans are handled in our community. But you don't know how to do that. That's the boring process of learning. I put my intellectual property that I have in my head in my library, the U.S. Military Veterans Educational Guide book series. All of it's right here. So you have a concern about a homeless veteran, about how you can get involved housing homeless veterans, about how you can get involved taking a veteran from despair to housing. I've got a veteran right now, and thank you all for watching. If you have not done so already, please go and click and like this video, and also share it with those who you think may care about housing homeless veterans. And also follow me. And also go to my bio if you're here on TikTok, or go to my bio if you're here on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, and buy some education. Buy that boring learning process, because one question is not going to answer all those thoughts that you have in your mind. And you may get real frustrated with me, and I will let you know that go buy a book. You may have that pressing question that you think is going to answer everything that's in your head, and I guarantee you that it's not, because it's still part of that learning process, that boring learning process. That's why I wrote the books. because people get frustrated when I cannot answer your questions to give you all the information that's in a book. So he talked about the foundational work on the video that I watched on TikTok about the learning process, that it's boring. And he talked about it being the foundational work. Well, for realtors who want to work in the veterans homeless community or in the veterans community, period, this is the book that you need. This is your foundation. This is it. You'll see me on the back. I went through everything in this book for the past 22 plus years as a professional and as a former homeless veteran. This is the foundation, the boring foundation. Learn it. It's boring work. He gave an analogy of a farmer planting seeds. He plants the seeds, he reaps the harvest, but it takes months and months and months and months and months to reap the harvest. Because you don't just plant a seed and then you go dig up what's grown. No, you have to wait for that seed to germinate and then to grow how it's supposed to grow so that you can reap that harvest. Well, it's the same with learning. This is the boring process. I'm just here to share the news with you. So then he gave the analogy of an entrepreneur. It's the same learning process. Here you work and you work and you work and you work in your business, and you continue to work and you work. And then months or years later, hopefully months and not too many years later, you reap the harvest because you put in the work. That's exactly what it is, getting into the business of housing homeless veterans, if that's what you care to do. I'm a realtor, and now I'm a consultant. I'm a writer, and I'm also the publisher. So all of this work that you see me coming here on every single day, 1 hour every Thursday morning, is work. Is work for me, and it's also providing you the information so you can start your foundational boring learning process. I want to thank you all again for watching. My name is Yvette Jones Swanson, and I am the National Veterans Homeless Housing Advocate, Realtor, Consultant, and Professional Services in the GovCon space. And all of that is work. It's a lot of work. And for me to get a question that, and sometimes I just chuckle because I'm like, you don't even know what you're asking. But, people will ask questions and think that one question is going to solve their whole mindset as a realtor getting ready to house homeless veterans. Don't give me that much credit, please. And don't give your ears or your brain that much credit either, because the answer I give you will not fulfill everything that's in any of my publications. This is your, what do you call it? Boring learning process. I've already done the work, and I'm inviting you to learn the same. So let me go over here to, hey there, BT, on TikTok, and then I'll come over to YouTube. I'm a vet trying to obtain a contract. I'm SDVOSB and registered through SAM. The bidding is what it is. I understand that. Been there. Good luck with that. I am SDVOSB as well. I'm also WOSB, MBE, WBE, AABE. I mean, a whole lot of alphabets. It's 14 different certifications that I have that I put the work in, and some of them are on, I like this one, some of them are on the back of my publications. All right, a lot of them are, because that's the back of my publication. So I've got 14 certifications from federal, from state, and from local Chicago. I'm renewing those as we speak. I just got an email back today. They need a signed 2024 tax return. So all of this is work, and all of that, getting those, all of this, getting those certifications was work. All of it. So BT, I don't do private mentoring. You can pay me for that, but it's going to cost you a bunch. So I would suggest you go start buying some books. You want to work in this veterans community, buy the library. That's your mentoring. Buy the library. That's your boring learning process. And then once you purchase any of my publications, you will be invited to my private group. I do 2-hour live Q&As once a week on a Friday. This Friday will be from 6 until 8. You pay for that. You send me 3 questions based on one of the books that you read. And I know it came from one of the books that you read, because it's your obligation to put the page number in the question, where you got it from and which book. And all of those questions will be answered so that everybody in the group can read the answer to those questions. And then I will be going more in detail with those answers. So that's how I mentor. I don't talk to y'all one-on-one. That's going to cost you. And I'm not doing that, because, my platform is this. After 22 years of housing homeless veterans and working with thousands of investors, and that really was the easy part. It came when people wanted to do things but didn't want to put in the boring work. And that, to me, is when I hear when people say, do you mentor? Mentor what? What information do you already have for me to mentor you on? So my educational platform comes first. When you learn what I know and I teach you what else is out there, that's when the mentorship starts. Now we have something that we can chew on. So I hope that answered your question. Let me come over. Let me see. And then if I missed your question because I wasn't reading any question, you can put it back on. Some of them don't want to own a house. That's fine. They don't have to. It's a lot of ways of housing homeless veterans. In this book right here, this is the model for veterans shared living. They don't have to own it. They can have a bed. They can have a bedroom, however you want to set your housing model up. I house veterans from homeless to homeownership to becoming investors and business owners. And how they want to live is how they want to live. There is no dispute. All right, let me see what you guys are saying over here on YouTube. What's the first step for veterans to take leaving homelessness? Oh my God. I don't know. Get a book. Some of these questions I can't even answer. Okay, after leaving home, take a shower. I really don't even know how to answer that question. Are there specific programs that help veterans with poor credit? Yeah, so I also do veteran workshops. In this 3rd edition, Veterans Buying Real Estate Guide for Today's Market, there's credit information in here. So a lot of these questions that you guys ask me, read a book and educate yourself. That's what I cannot do on these lives, is educate you through the book. It's education, honeys. Do you work with volunteers to help veterans navigate paperwork? No, organizations have to do that. My position here is marketing my book so you can read and learn, go through the boring process, and all of everything that I do here, which a lot of you don't even know. So go to my website so you can learn about me, that you can do in your community. What I do right here is duplicatable, as you see in the books, is duplicatable. I'm giving all of my information away. I tell people now that I wrote these books because I don't want to die and contribute to the most wealthiest place on earth, and that's the graveyard. I didn't want to do that. So I wrote the book. So you want to learn to do what I do, get a book and read it. Go through the boring process. I've taken the hard work out of your hands and put it in a book. All you got to do is pick one up and read it. That's really it until my trainings come out. That's the process I'm going through right now, is automating everything, because at some point, yeah, I'll come on live like this, but my trainings will all be automated because it's a lot. This takes a lot out of me coming here and reading some of these questions. And you guys think that one question is going to solve all the answers to veterans' homelessness on a computer screen. And it's not. Thank you for being here. I wrote a housing bill for the homeless veterans community. Now we have protected class, and part of that protected class category is Section 8. It's the money that comes from HUD-VASH to pay rent for the participant who holds the voucher. Now, I wrote this piece of legislation that I would like to see passed because it's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. We call it the golden ticket. It's a beautiful thing when a veteran has a HUD-VASH voucher. Oh, now they can get some place to live. Thank God they don't have to be homeless anymore. That's the first hurdle. They've gotten over all of those intakes and they've gotten that approval that now they have that the HUD-VASH voucher. They can go find some place to live. Here in Chicago, we work with CHA. This is Chicago Housing Authority, and they issue the HUD-VASH voucher. However, the intake starts at the VA. It starts at the VA, the Veterans Administration. So if the social worker in homeless walk-in and HUD-VASH says, okay, veteran, you fit, you all the checks are checked off, and you qualify for this voucher. And now you have to go through the HUD check boxes. So now you've gone through the VA, and now you've gone through HUD, and now you've gotten that voucher issued, because that contract from that voucher is going to be with a landlord, and that landlord is going to have a contract with HUD to rent to you. Okay, so I don't know if you just follow the story. So this veteran who submitted their moving papers, no, not even submitted it yet, who received their moving papers from Section 8. Everybody knows Section 8, but our moving papers for a veteran, they could have a HUD VASH voucher. They could have a Colbert voucher. They could have a, they could use a bridge. That's through, but anyway, let's stick with the HUD VASH voucher. So this veteran now, let me get the moving papers in my hand so y'all can follow me. I'm going to take y'all down a little road trip, okay? So whoopee, I got my moving papers. These are my moving papers. These moving papers could be $1,600. It could be $3,000. I moved a veterans, not just one, in downtown condominiums with this moving paper packet right here. And my commission with every set of papers is whatever the rent is, first month's rent. I don't care if you have 40 units. I get the first month's rent of all 40. And that did happen. I was the only agent renting all of those units. So stick with me now. There's a story within a story, and then another story within that first story. And I'm going to keep telling these stories. So if you like them, good. If not, I apologize. Just stick with it. So I'm a veteran and I have my moving papers. Now I'm going into the community. I'm going to see this house right here because I have a 4-bedroom voucher. So now I'm going to go see this realtor, right? And this realtor is going to say, okay, well, let's do an application. Let's do a credit check. Let's do a background check. Let's do an eviction report. Let's contact your last landlord. Let's my investor wants me to come and see where you live. Yeah. So this veteran, hold on. This veteran right here, okay, that's the veteran right there. That's the veteran, has moving papers. I'm going to go see this house right here. I want to apply for this house. All right, so we have all of your documents, veteran. We got all of your documents right here. Yep, to hopefully you get approved for this house, right? Okay. Oh, veteran, your credit check came back, and unfortunately you're denied. You're denied for this house. But I got the moving papers. HUD told me I got moving papers. The VA said I can come and start looking at the houses. Well, I'm the realtor and the owner wants a 600 credit score. And because you don't have a 600 credit score, veteran, you're denied from renting this house. Guess what? This veteran is still out on the hunt with moving papers, still on the hunt with moving papers. And now this veteran wants to see this house. He was already denied this house. So now he wants to see this house for his family, her family. She has her moving papers in hand, right? She goes trotting over to make an appointment to see this house. This realtor right here says, okay, I'll make an appointment for you to see this house right here. And I'm going to email you because you got to do an application. You have to do a credit check. You have to do a background check. You have to do an eviction report. And we also want you to send 3 months of your bank statements and 3 of your last checks. That's the qualification. I'm a veteran. I have moving papers. And these moving papers were issued to me because I passed the check. I passed all the checks from the VA, from homeless walk-in. And I passed all the checks from HUD. And that's how I got these moving papers. And now I go see a realtor, and the realtor wants me to do a credit check, a background check, an eviction check, employment background, my last three check stubs, and my last three bank statements, my kids' school report cards, because it's a good community. But this veteran has moving papers that have been approved by the VA and HUD. But when she goes out into the community, every step she takes is a denial. I hope y'all followed that story, because that's exactly what happens in our community. I'm working with a homeless female veteran now. She's 72. She's in Charlottesville, Virginia. She's had moving papers just like this, issued to her, approved by the VA and HUD. She's been homeless since she received the moving papers in April. It is now October. She still has moving papers. She lives in a tent with her caregiver, because the realtors and the board, wherever, their real estate office first, because they have to say how we're going to handle our applicants when they're coming through our office. And this is our standard operating procedures. And we're going to let our investors know this is how we're going to do it in the office. But now, I teach realtors how to do it a different way. And it's not going against any laws. We're governed under our real estate license. So we cannot do anything illegal. And if you do, your license can get taken away, and you can get fined. I was on the professional committee standard. Was it not a board committee? The professional committee for realtors. And you should hear what these realtors do in the community that's illegal, not right. And I'm not here to teach you anything wrong. I'm here to show you how you can service homeless veterans in your community as a realtor and get a commission legally. Can I say it again? Legally. I've made a 6-figure income housing homeless veterans as a realtor, a commission check from my real estate office legally for over 22 years. So what I come on here and talk to you about, it's about work that I've put in over the past 22 plus years in this community, perfecting a system that any realtor can use, any investor can use, any property owner can use, but it comes with the learning process. You want to learn to do what I do, then let me grab my library again to show you. So this is how you learn to do what I do. I want to thank you all for coming on to meet with me this morning and to glean from the information that I'm sharing, which is an invitation to come and learn that boring learning process, getting to know the community through education. And I'll come on here and talk to you a bit. So I told y'all, I don't even know if I told you. I didn't even tell you. And I have been thinking about this. I've gone to the what is it called? The state capitol 2 times. I've gone there 3 times total. The first time it wasn't for realtors, but this time it was. The first time it was a lobby day, both times lobby days for realtors to talk to the politicians who govern our communities. The state reps were there. I don't know if I saw any senators. Did I see? I did. I saw Michael Hastings, the senator who presented me with this proclamation in 2022 for Women Veterans Day, because I am a woman veteran and I'm also a business owner in the community for veterans specifically. So please don't come and ask me, well, what can we do about this population? I don't know. If it doesn't have a veteran in its title, then you have to find another professional. Okay. So the Capitol is where conversations are heard and bills are passed. So, and I'm reading these House bills, right? And I'm saying, okay, these House bills, they're nice for our community as a whole, or for this population, or, you know, in our community. And what I never saw was a bill that addresses this particular issue in our homeless veterans community. We have a bill that was passed, and I do reference some of those bills in the House bill that I wrote that I want presented. My House bill, it just has to get passed. It will eliminate all of these roadblocks that we just talked about. Part of the reason why a lot of our veterans are still homeless. The veteran has a HUD-VASH voucher that's paying the rent. They've gone through all of these checks and balances, and some of them aren't very pleasant either. You know, it's the same in some cases. When I got my, hold on, let me take it. When I got my volunteer badge to volunteer at the VA to bring veteran housing and home buying workshops. And that's in this book right here. Everything I talk about, you can find it in a book and read about it. I'm giving you the cliffhangers. So these veterans go through various checks and balances already as a homeless veteran. They're going to go through just like this. They got to get checked out by the VA. This badge right here is in my name as a volunteer, where I went to the VA for 22 years, really, but 13 consecutive years at the Vet Center conducting veteran housing and home buying workshops. As a volunteer, I had to get fingerprinted, background checked. They had to contact my references before they said yes to this. So the veterans who get a HUD-VASH voucher, moving papers to move, they've gone through checks and balances too. And then they go over to HUD, and HUD puts them through more checks and balances. So now when you have a veteran with the HUD-VASH voucher with moving papers, just know they've gone through somebody's ringer 2 times. And they're still homeless because they're walking around with this. They're walking around with this because the realtors don't know how to remove those barriers. And it's a simple fix. And that's why I'm introducing this House bill, so that y'all don't have to come on here and hear me talk about it. Put it into law so that the realtors, the boards, the National Association of Realtors, everybody has to do it, because everybody keeps saying we shouldn't have homeless veterans. But for those veterans who have HUD-VASH vouchers, and for those veterans who received part of this $900 million funding for their housing, which this $900 million plus went to 411 organizations within the United States of America. So this money is different from HUD money, but all of this money can be used for housing. But you've got realtors and you have managers. What are we? Those managing directors, and you have real estate boards telling you how a person should be approved or not approved. And when you're putting all of these additional checks and balances on top of an approval process for a veteran with moving papers or with the share of over $900 million to pay for their rent, now you're the cause of them not getting housed. But you'll be the first one to tell a veteran, thank you for your service. So how can you help? How can you get involved? Your first step is to that boring learning process. I've already taken the heavy lifting. Well, the library is kind of heavy. I've taken the heavy lifting off you, so you don't have to try to go do all of this research. Just go buy some books and read them. I've gotten, oh my God, God is so good. I was a homeless female veteran for years. The reason why I was a homeless female veteran and in a shelter at once, in my car, on the bus, on the train, because a boy would take something off of my engine and I couldn't drive my car, but I had to get out of the cold car because it wouldn't start. So I have to go get on a bus and I had nowhere to go. So I'm just rolling up and down the bus just to be warm and to have someplace safe. So when a veteran goes through that and comes out and becomes a realtor and cracks the code to house over 5,000 homeless veterans and get a commission for, I just rented an apartment yesterday to a home where they were at risk of being homeless because the mom who they were living with lost the home because the daddy died and they couldn't get her out of the tumble of bills that she was in, trying to save the house. Got them housed in one day as a realtor. And that's the commission for me. Their credit score wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. There's three adults. Three adults need a credit score of 6 and above to get approved for someplace else, along with a credit check, a background check, an eviction check. In this case, a foreclosure check. Who wants to rent to a veteran like that? Who? Well, my investor does. It's taking the barriers away so that we won't have these homeless veterans. When you know where the money is, this is a HUD voucher that can be used in any city, any state, anywhere, as long as a veteran has this. Over $900 million can be used. And check this out. If you say, I want to do veteran shared living models, which model should I use? Because I'm going to help house those homeless veterans who are getting a share of over $900 million. You got to read. You got to put in the work. That's the boring process. All of this is doable. I've done it. I've done it as a homeless, I'm pointing up here, y'all. I've done it as a homeless female veteran coming out of the military. My daddy died 2 years later, and I get involved with the horrible Marine, and now he's an abusive husband, and now I'm a battered wife running away for safety, never having anywhere to go. So I experienced homelessness. I can't even tell you how many times I had to run away from that monster and experience homeless, sleepless nights. As a veteran, I would go to the VA, and these social workers, because they didn't know any programs, they didn't know anything about serving a battered female veteran, married to and actively serving Marine with nowhere to go. Oh, they didn't have anywhere for me to go either. No, they didn't. So now I get calls, not calls, because please don't call my telephone. You have to have an appointment with me. It's just too much. So I got a message from a veteran. Well, I get messages from veterans all the time. This one was in Hawaii. I always got to talk about Hawaii, because I always thought if there's any, I always thought this before I met someone who was actually homeless in Hawaii. I always thought if I was ever to be homeless anywhere, I would want to be homeless in Hawaii because I could eat off the trees. That's what, misconception is all. And then I get the message from the female veteran Marine who was homeless in Hawaii in her car. And I'm like, dang, that sucks too. So it doesn't matter where you are as a homeless female or as a homeless veteran. And all the resources that I was able to send her, and she was able to contact an organization that had approved her last year for housing that she didn't know. She didn't know until the resource popped up on her list. She didn't know that they were looking for her. So this is what I teach you all how to do. You want to learn to do what I do. You want to house homeless veterans. You want the knowledge and the background of where do I get started? What do they need? Where do I go? How do I do? That's the boring learning process. So, thank y'all for being here. Thank you for watching. My name is Yvette Jones Swanson, and I am a former homeless Army female veteran of domestic violence. And I help those who say they want to help in our community through education. And I also have a group. Thank you for joining my club. I also have a group. So if you buy my publications, you will be put in my group. Just send me your DM in my DM proof that you purchased the book, any book, and you will be in my group. And I do 2-hour, 3 questions max for whatever book. If you bought 5 books, you get 3 questions for 5 books and answer those questions. And in a group format, all of those questions and answers are shared. And you learn not just from the book you read, but from all the other sections within this homeless veterans community. So for social workers, I teach social workers how to work effectively in the community, because social workers need to know, and I teach them how to create their treasure chest. I've worked with I can't even say thousands of investors over the years. So I teach them how to create their treasure chest and write them down. Okay, this isn't the teaching, it's in the book, but this is where they will put their vetted realtors like myself or any other realtor who has gone through this book and this program. All right. And let's see who else is in here. Vetted landlords, because you have landlords who say, I want to rent to homeless veterans, and I want them to bring their voucher to my unit, and I'm easy. I don't put up roadblocks and barriers. So you want to put those landlords in here. All right. So that way, you know what they have. You stay in contact. And if you want to use a CRM, but typically at the VA at that level, you're writing stuff down. Yeah. And then your property managers, who are your vetted property managers? And as a social worker, case manager, human care professional, first responder, how do you get into the community to know who these people are? Well, that education is in this book. Thank you. What time do we have? It's 10:55. The blueprints. Okay, let me see. For Mac, the blueprint is pure gold for anyone wanting to make a difference. It sure is, Mac. And I appreciate you saying that too. You make the process sound achievable for every veteran. It's achievable. It is for not just for veterans, but for the community who serve us. Because as veterans, we are overwhelmed and homeless, but you can't be both. Because if you're overwhelmed and homeless, you have to make a decision on, am I going to be stuck in being overwhelmed, or am I going to make a decision to fight for my life for this day and the next day and the next day? But that's where our community comes in. If you know what I know and you go through that boring learning process by reading a book, then you can help that veteran. Veterans contact me from Las Vegas. Young single dad of a 2-year-old in Las Vegas. And when he got his apartment, he contacted me and told me, and he sent me pictures. He sent me the picture like this of himself in his apartment. And he said, tomorrow they're dropping off furniture. From the resources that I sent him in this book. Where's my Las Vegas baby at? He sent me a picture of him and his 2-year-old baby girl. Let me go to the table of contents. Yeah, so you want to, Las Vegas is on page 84. You want to make a difference, then go through the learning process. That's all I can tell you. All right, these were the Las Vegas resources that I sent this young man. And they, so they're in the book now because I'm showing you how to use these various prompts, because everybody's resources are different. Even though they're homeless, every resource is different. It's a different city, different state, different circumstance. You might be a veteran. Thanks for the hearts. You might be a veteran who does not have your service connection disability rating yet. So you're going to have to get those steps. If you have that rating and you're still homeless, then you don't need that. You need other steps. So that's what, the learning process, the boring learning process. Ooh, we. Thank y'all so much for being here. You could have stopped and stayed with anybody else, but you decided to stop and stay with me. And I appreciate that, because if you do decide to immerse yourself in that boring learning process, then you can help the veterans that you say you want to help. You can help relieve some of those worries that our veterans go through. We're at the top, at the bottom of the top of the next hour. So my time here is over. I'm not going to keep y'all longer than I have to, because I do have other things to do. You make the process. Okay, what did you say? Okay, good. I think I read everybody's. If I didn't, I do apologize, but you want to know what I know, get the books. Let me now end this stream over here. And again, if you have not liked and do everything that these apps ask you to do. Like, share, follow, and hit that bell on YouTube to receive an indication that I'm coming live. So please do that at this time. Take care of yourselves and learn. Go through that boring learning process to know what I know and to help those who you say you want to help, like those homeless veterans. Let me see, where is this? Let me get this off the screen real quick so y'all can write my name down and go to Amazon or go to the bio on TikTok and buy all the books if you say you want to learn, because you're not going to learn it from the words that are just coming out of my mouth. Oh, wait. I have to go back and do end stream. Bye for now.
Across America, too many of our heroes return home only to face another battle, the fight for stable housing. Veterans are overrepresented in the homeless population, often caught in a system that is complex, slow, and full of barriers. At VetMentors, we're changing that narrative. For over 20 years, we've been boots on the ground, not just identifying the problem, but building real solutions. That's why we created the U.S. Military Veterans Educational and Resource Guide book series, a groundbreaking collection designed to educate, equip, and empower. These guidebooks are written not only for veterans, but also for the communities, organizations, and leaders who serve them. From step-by-step housing models to funding strategies, this series gives social workers, case managers, realtors, and first responders the tools they need to act with speed, dignity, and impact. VetMentors believes housing is not charity. It's a mission, a responsibility, and a pathway to restoring honor. Every guidebook in this series is a resource designed to make sure no veteran is left behind, and no community has to say, "We didn't know how to help." This is how we turn challenges into victories. I'm Yvette Jones Swanson, Army veteran, CEO of VetMentors LLC, and I invite you to join us in rewriting the story for America's veterans.